game? Make a game! What's a game? What's a game? I'm a Kamen Rider.
What's up, everybody? It's the Quarter Guy, and it is raining quite a bit out there. So, good time for me to go over the news that went on in the realm of gaming this week. Let's start with the Summer Game Fest. It's this whole online news event that's going to be going on for the next few months in the wake of E3's cancellation due to the pandemic. But we've gotten the first, at least the first that I'm aware of, big news out of the Summer Game Fest. First off, we got a trailer for a remake of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Now, the first Tony Hawk game I actually played was Tony Hawk 2, basically the PC port specifically, and I was a fan of the series up until Tony Hawk's Underground. Didn't play the other games after that, and we don't like talking about what happened with Pro Skater 5, especially the fact that you can't even play it anymore. And to be honest, the funny thing about that, anyway, the reviews of the previous few Tony Hawk games at first gave me a bit of reason to be leery, but then I learned it's Vicarious Visions who's doing this remake. Now, for those of you who don't know, Vicarious Visions is a subsidiary of Activision who is responsible for doing a lot of the handheld ports of the Tony Hawk games, as well as the PS1 port of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4. So that gives me hope, especially considering that Vicarious Visions, more recently, was the one who did the remakes of the Crash and Insane trilogy. So, that honestly gives me a lot more hope. So, it's coming out later this year for... Wait, I think it was later this year for PS4 and Xbox One. No sign of a Switch port, at least not yet, but given the patterns of remakes from Activision, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a version on Switch later on. Hopefully not loaded with microtransactions, though considering Activision and what happened with CTR. But then again, Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 don't really have the kind of multiplayer that would require microtransactions. So, yeah. That's something I'm looking actually forward to. Reliving childhood memories. Second thing that's coming up is probably more exciting for developers than for most gamers, but we got a formal unveiling of the Unreal Engine 5, which had its first public tech demo, showing off, honestly, something that could be a game in and of itself, or part of it anyway, that was actually running on PS5 development hardware. And I honestly say, from what I saw, I was definitely impressed. The level of detail that they showed, the lighting that they were putting on display, even the animations, it all looked so crisp, so clean. Of course, the tech demo was running in 30 FPS, probably to make it look more cinematic, because this was just a tech demo, but I am honestly looking forward to seeing what people will do with the new technology. Now, the engine's coming out early next year, I think, and it will be supported by current and next-gen hardware, so Xbox One, PS4, and Switch, as well as Xbox Series X and PS5. And Fortnite's going to be upgraded to take advantage of the Unreal Engine 5. But that's honestly going to be really exciting for video game developers. I mean, we have a lot of games today that use Unreal Engine 4, so that's definitely something to look forward to. And next up, a follow-up to the whole netcode rant I had a couple weeks ago regarding EVO. So, they've fully unveiled EVO Online, and while the previous games that were going to be main events are going to have like exhibitions and special events, with the glaring exception of Smash, we all know why. The event is also going to feature open tournaments for Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath, Skullgirls Second Encore, Killer Instinct, and Them's Fightin' Herds. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Them's Fightin' Herds is the indie-backed fighting game that was developed out of the ashes of the My Little Pony fighting game, Fighting is Magic. And funny how it's now going to be featured in an EVO event. I guess you could say redemption is magic. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not a brony, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Funny thing about that, all 4 of the games that are going to have those open tournaments are American developed. Do Americans just know netcode better, or is the netcode problem Japanese mostly, or it's just those particular games just know how to do netcode? And it's not like all Japanese games have bad netcode. From what I hear, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite actually had some pretty good netcode. At least better than a lot of other Japanese fighting games. Who knows? Last news tidbit. It appears that the whole Mario leak actually has some credence, since we got a surprise announcement of a new Paper Mario game called Paper Mario: The Origami King. I honestly do have some reservations considering how burned I was on Sticker Star. In fact, I was so burned on Sticker Star that I didn't even bother playing Color Splash. Though I hear Color Splash was marginally better. That being said, there is some promise in there. For one thing, we're going to be having partners again, although in the form of more generic Mario enemies that are actually going to be joining us this time to fight the common threat of this Origami King, who's got some of this whole cult thing going on. Yeah, the opening of that trailer was pretty creepy. And also, the battle system seems actually pretty interesting. It's going to have more traditional of the jump and hammer stuff, but it's also going to involve this tactical ring-based rotation thing where you can line up enemies and get an attack bonus. And I've seen some screenshots saying that partners might actually have a role in this. So I am seeing some hope somewhere in there, but I'll wait until I hear from other people and or see more of this in action to see if it's actually worth putting effort into. So anyway, that's my rundown of my thoughts on gaming news last week. Updates. I am in the editing stages for Top 10 Disasters in Video Games, so look forward to that in the next couple weeks, most likely. And in the meantime, I'm continuing my Let's Play of the Mega Man Zero ZX Legacy Collection. I am up to Mega Man Zero 2, so feel free to check that out. So I am saying so a lot, so there I go again. Whoops. For my question of the week, how interested are you in Unreal Engine 5? As always, leave your answers in the comments. Favorite comments will be featured in the next episode. Here are last week's winners. And with that, time for the fourth wall mailbag. As always, leave your questions in the community post, and I'll answer my favorites in the next episode. First question this week comes from the Mr. Gamer 2011, who asks, will you do more Guess That Video Game videos after doing a couple? Yeah, I'm actually having fun with those. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I actually got the idea from a friend of mine, Oscar, the Green Scorpion, who's been doing this, who was inspired by a voice actor, PM Seymour, who did something similar. But I've had fun doing these things, and some of the descriptions that some of you guys have come up with are actually pretty creative, so I figure might as well keep a good thing going. If I'm having fun with it, why stop? Next question comes from YouTuber Aurier Ballardier, who asks, have you ever played Azure Striker Gunvolt? Yes, as a matter of fact, I have. I played through the true ending in Gunvolt. I actually did have a lot of fun with it, though it did feel a bit derivative, but then again, everything's derivative. Though I will say this. The path to the final boss did not feel worth. The penultimate boss of the game was really poorly designed, and the fact that you had to face that boss twice, at least, to get to the true ending, is just no. That's the main complaint I have about it. But other than that, I did enjoy the game. I still have to get back to Gunvolt 2. Next question comes from William Nee, who asks, do you think the idea of virtual reality fighting games can be done right? To some extent, maybe. But right now we have some limits on virtual reality that limits what we can do with it, especially in terms of fighting games. Right now, really the only thing that I can honestly see actually working is a boxing game. Mainly because you have grips and you have the headset, as long as the headset is securely fastened and can't come off. I mean, you have head movements, you have fist movements, but that's pretty much it right now. Maybe one day we'll be able to get the full body virtual reality experience down. But until then, I don't really see virtual reality fighting games really going that far. Next question comes from Grandmaster Jelter, who asks, if Virtual Boy games were put on the Switch, which games do you think could most likely get put on? Really, the only one that really has that much of a chance, to be honest, would be Virtual Boy Wario Land. I mean, it was one of the few good games on that system, and considering how panned the Virtual Boy was, that says a lot. And the thing is, it can honestly work pretty well as a platform without even needing VR. I mean, I even think it could have done well as a remake on the 3DS because of the nature of the game and the nature of the 3DS hardware. I mean, the visuals in Kirby Triple Deluxe worked pretty damn well, so... And I don't think any of the other games on the Virtual Boy would have enough traction to really justify a remake for the Switch. That's just how I feel on that. Last question this week comes from Video Gamer 01's channel, who asks, how would you like a BlazBlue event for Dragalia Lost? Dude.